Thanks for listening, and buckets up.
Yo, what up? My name is Jump.
Yo, it's Kairos on the BC Underground Hip Hop Podcast.
BC Underground Hip Hop.
BC Underground Hip Hop Podcast.
Along with your host,
My man's Lil Bukkit.
Lil Bukkit, what's up?
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Lil Bukkit. I'm back with the BC Underground Hip Hop Podcast, and today we got a special guest with us. You want to shout yourself out, bro?
Hey, yo, it's Imperative. What's good?
Let everybody know where to get at you on all your socials.
Pretty easy. Imperetiv. Actually, I guess it's not that easy because I spell it really fucking weird. But
No, yeah, you don't spell it.
Imperetiv. It's the way it sounds, not the way it's spelled.
That's what's up, brother.
Yeah.
Well, it's phonetics. That's
phonetics.
That's the way it is. It's phonetics. Well, that's dope. I know a lot of people, they know you as Junk's producer, but
Yeah.
I do want to get a little bit into just kind of your intro into the rap game. What got you into producing, and did you ever used to rap or anything like that first?
I never used to rap. I used to snowboard.
Okay.
I used to snowboard competitively. And I've talked about this a bit on my social medias and on a couple different radio shows, but I used to snowboard competitively and I collapsed my left eye socket. So there's actually a full metal plate in here. And after that, I kind of lost my my creative outlet. So my brother was going to PAVI at the time in Vancouver, taking the recording engineering program there. And he was doing some hip hop producing, recording, and I decided to, I always loved the culture, always loved the music, grew up listening to Big L, Mobb Deep, groups like that. So I decided to try my hand at it. Yeah.
That's awesome, bro. And when you first started producing, did you spend some time in the studio first, or did you just get right behind a digital audio workstation?
I went out and grabbed in a Kai 49 key MIDI keyboard or something like that. Tried my hand at Reason, which is really difficult for a beginner. I bought an MPC 1000, which the pads didn't really work. It wasn't until I ended up getting a Native Instruments machine and set that up, and that's where things really clicked for me. But I did do a lot of research into the history of hip hop production, where it came from, and that's why a lot of my production to this day still contains a lot of samples, because that's where hip hop originated from. So
definitely,
I wanted to hold true to that, to the origins, to the forefathers, and whatnot. And yeah, a lot of my idols were doing sampling still. So yeah,
what are some of your favorite genres to sample?
Easily 70s soul, gospel music, psych rock, prog rock. A lot of it, mostly it's the 70s. If I'm in a record shop and I'm flipping through, it's I always pull out the record, flip it around, check the date. If it's the 70s, it's got my interest.
Yeah.
80s, you start getting into that disco, you start getting into that really funky stuff. Usually it's a no-go.
And do you go about clearing your samples?
I'm sorry? Clearing?
You clear your samples, yeah.
No, not at the moment. Not to snitch on myself or anything like that, but just from a lot of research I've done, you don't really need to at the level that I'm at. If you're at the level where someone is they're going to sue you because of using their sample, that means you've reached a level. So, and you can use that as leverage. One, it's probably an exaggerated case, but it's the whole Nick Mira sampling with Juice WRLD for Sting. And, that he used that to his advantage, and there was a lot of headlines. No press is bad press, right? So if you're getting
exactly
hit
where my
hard
mind
with
went.
samples, what's that?
That's exactly where my mind went when you said that. It was right to the Juice WRLD thing.
Exactly. There are some situations, I won't go into detail, but with some of the music I made for Junk, we did hit one roadblock for something because of sample use. So that was a bit of a learning curve and something to think about in the future moving forward about how we make our music together and that. So
right.
Yeah.
And speaking of Junk, what was your guys meeting like? How did you guys network? How'd you meet Junk?
So I used to, the first artist I worked with was Jay West. and him and I started doing shows in the Vancouver scene, and we opened up for Northwest Division. So that was our first sort of introduction to Junk and Hungry. And then from there, I started, Junk had seen my artwork for Jay West. I used to do all of his artwork as well. So Junk saw my artwork, and I did the artwork for Rap Better Party Harder. And then I also did the artwork for the Stay Sharp mixtape. So from there, I did the artwork, and then we had talked about making music, but I mean, straight up, he didn't like my beats back then. So
You had to improve.
it kind of reminds me of Big Sean and Key Wayne. You hear Big Sean talking about how he used to not fuck with Key Wayne's beats, and then now like Key Wayne's all over his projects. So
Yeah, that's all he does.
yeah.
Well, what do you think that your sound was initially when he didn't like it?
Probably the fact that he was probably more boom bap oriented, sample oriented. Like that was, like I said, my influence is come from the East Coast, like Big L and Mobb Deep. So, I was definitely emulating a lot of that sound when I was, first starting to make beats. And I think in, maybe the last 5-6 years of my producing, like I really started to like take, when you first start, you kind of like, you borrow ideas and concepts from your idols, and then you start to blend them all together, and next thing you know, you have your own sound.
Yeah, totally. Do you find any of your inspiration from Primo?
A little bit, definitely. I mean, I love Primo, but like he's just got such a unique style of chopping.
So defined.
It's so defined. Like it's hard to even emulate him. So it's more like you look up to him and you just respect it. But I think more of my stuff comes from Kanye, Alchemist, Ski Beats, guys like that.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
Word. I want to talk to you a little bit about your Facebook group, the Producer Connect.
The Producer Connect. Yeah. Word. Thanks for bringing that up.
Why did you start that group? Shout it out a little bit. Let's hear the concept behind why it was created.
I mean, I have a love for learning and a passion for learning, and music, and like as good as I may be right now, or people see that I am, I always feel like I have more to learn. So I'm always out there looking for information. I'm always watching videos on producers, how they made stuff. And so I just found myself doing that for years. And I just decided if I put it together a Facebook group, I could put all that information there, share it, and then other producers could appreciate it as well. And then, use it as a platform that if producers want to post a beat that they're making or working on, they can get some feedback. So it's mostly motivation, inspiration, and learning.
Yeah, I've noticed also a lot. It's a great place for people to network, because a poster, or not necessarily a poster, a person will comment in one of your posts, and then another person will be like, oh yeah, no, I totally agree with what you're saying on that, or they'll have conversations there, and then it'll lead to more. I think that's really cool.
I mean, it's not as much of as a circus as the BC Underground can be sometimes. I mean, people. I mean, it's me moderating it. I have brought in a couple other people. There's been a couple people I did block. I have some rules and guidelines. Like, it's there for motivation. It's there for inspiration. It's not there to shit talk people. There was one dude in there that was start going off about. He was in a beef with Talib Kweli. Yeah. And like he was going off about all this stuff about Talib, and I like looked deeper into it, and I was like, yo, this guy's got to go. I want nothing to do with that.
Can't associate with those type of people at all. Yeah, man. Well, back onto the Junk subject. When you guys decided to do together in pieces, what did that look like? How did that come about?
So it was right after kind of Audio Heroin. He explained the project to me. That he had the title, so that was on him, and it has a lot of meaning to him. I had said that I wanted to like hang out more, like get to know each other more, party more, chill more, just to get into each other's heads. It didn't work out that way.
That's funny, because one thing I know about him is he's really into that.
What's that?
One thing I know about him is he's really into that, open to that idea of like getting to know people on a
sure. I mean,
level.
We did know each other and we have partied together. Just time frame, we're both very busy. I mean, he's sort of found a groove right now where it's a train and the wheels are just going right now. But yeah, I sent him a huge pack of beats, and he went through and he picked out a bunch of beats, and On certain ones, I gave him my ideas and concepts for it, and went into the studio, and he recorded it in a day, wrote it in a day, and yeah.
That was crazy. Yeah. He did that quick. Junk, he's hit about 50, I think even 60,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
And he's been really getting that motion with the success of Together in Pieces. When did you guys decide to do the second? And if it was like a mutual decision, if not, did he just come to you and say he wanted to continue that train?
It was already predetermined.
Oh, yeah?
He had already told me that he wanted to do it with a couple different producers. So,
Wow.
So yeah, Together in Pieces 2 was kind of well planned before.
Wow, that's cool. Did you need a drink of water?
I am not used to this Ontario weather.
You just decided to move out to Ontario. What was that all about? Where'd you go?
There was a lot of factors in it, and I have an EP coming out called Full Circle, and that has a lot to do with everything that's happening. So I moved out to Vancouver 11 years ago, and then I had this job, and they had me driving everywhere. So I was all the way up in Fort St. John, and a bunch of shit happened, and I kind of quit my job / got fired. And it turns out that everything that happened was on the same day that I flew out to Vancouver 11 years ago. Hence the full circle.
Yeah.
So my brother recently moved back to Ontario, and so did my mom. So I decided it was a good move for me.
I see. Interesting. And when you release your EP out there, are you going to be like doing shows, or what's your plan for?
I plan on actually coming out to Vancouver and doing a release party out there.
Nice.
Probably around February or March.
Dope
so,
to know.
I mean, most of the artists are from Vancouver.
Yeah.
That's where I did most of my music. So
of course,
if I was to try and do anything here, it just probably wouldn't work out.
Yeah, everyone would have to show up out there, right? That's basically where I was going with that. So if you do a release party out here, have you figured out like a venue or a lineup, any kind of anything like that?
I mean, with the whole full circle concept, Fortune probably makes the most sense. When I was doing the whole snowboard stuff, working in a snowboard shop, we did a lot of stuff with Fortune. So I spent a lot of my mid-20s at Fortune.
Yeah.
So
that's definitely a staple in the city. I was thinking you would do that there.
Well, on the project, the first main single I'm going to drop, which is going to be in January.
Yeah.
It's got Mickey Fax on it and Junk. Like, it feels like something's grabbing my throat right here. So I got Mickey Fax, who, tying in with the whole full circle. I used one of his songs as my last snowboard video part before I collapsed my eye socket. So now 10 years later, I've got him on a track with Junk.
That's pretty cool.
Also have DJ Flip Out on there as well.
Yeah. So
that's going to be the first main single. Got a track dropping December 13th with King KV from BC, and then a K-Suite from Alberta.
And where can we get these?
It's going to be on all streaming, mostly promoting Spotify, so Imperative, IMPERETIV. And check my socials. I'll make sure it's on there.
Search up like YouTube, Spotify, check out Apple Media, all that stuff.
Everything.
Imperative.
Everything. Everywhere.
That's what's up. And when's this project dropping? What date?
It's probably going to be late February, early March.
You haven't got a specific time?
I just don't want to give away too much right now. Like I've got I've got a plan. Plan. So I just I've got a few singles that I want to release to kind of lead up to it and that. So it's going to be February, March.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's dope. Well, who would you say is one of the probably most surprising artists that you would say you listen to if you told someone that asked you?
That I listen to.
Yeah, if you were just talking to a friend and they were just chilling and they're like, yo, what, like, you guys are just on the subject, and then it came up.
If you listen to my production style, you might not think like I listen to guys like YFN Lucci. I listen to a lot of mumble rap.
Yeah.
I listen to Young Thug and stuff like that. It just doesn't come out of my production style. That's just not what I make.
Yeah. Well, you know, Thugger, a lot of people don't really give him the just due, but I saw, I forget who exactly it was the other day, was saying that Thugger has inspired over, 50% of the game, if not more. And
I think there was an article that was floating around today about that.
yeah,
I think I saw something.
and not only that, if you think about it, it's crazy. Him and Drake, they sing a lot. Drake's influenced Canada's rappers like no other. And I mean, without Drake, I don't think we would have Nav.
No, that's completely true. I mean, without Drake, we probably wouldn't have a lot of the Canadian artists that are stepping out onto the main platform right now.
Yeah, definitely. It's pretty cool to see the influence, because I remember in 2009, 10 years ago, when Drake dropped that project and he was doing his sing song thing, I wasn't really into it, and even now, like, it's kind of timeless, but it just isn't my vibe. But I saw when he dropped, I think it was like 2012, he dropped like a real rap song.
Yeah,
that was when I knew. I was like, okay, this guy's gonna start taking over.
Yeah, I mean, I feel you on that. Like, even like, I listen to some of the sing-song stuff. It's not really for me, but some of it catches my ear, and I'm like, yo, I fuck with this. Like, I'm down with this. Some of it, though, you can tell it's more catered towards the females and whatnot. But, when he raps, he can rap.
He really can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of people, they won't admit it, but and a lot of people won't admit that they like trap music, or mumble rap is a lot of people call it. But I grew up on, like, just like you said, the Big L's, the Guru, all that stuff, and like,
the classics.
Yeah, Jadakiss and Cassidy and all that stuff. But
I was way more East Coast. Like, people ask me all the time about guys like E40. I never really got into West Coast music that much. I wasn't huge into South music either.
I remember having a crazy hyphy movement in high school. We were just all into Mac Dre and Keek the Sneak and all that stuff. SPM and Spice One, all the West Coast rappers, yeah. And
but you're from the West Coast though too, right?
Totally. So a lot of my influences were the older kids I was looking at, and they would look on the West Coast for the rappers.
Right.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, in the East Coast. Also, like, where I was from, I had to hear my music from skateboard, snowboard videos. And then it was just like Napster, right? Like, the internet, I mean, there maybe was, but like, I didn't know about hip hop blogs or that back then.
Kazaa music, I remember that.
So it was just like somehow coming across like C Murder on Napster and be like, what the fuck is this? Right? Totally. Like, okay, this is hard, right? But, yeah.
Definitely. I remember checking that stuff out. Now, when you first started producing, what was it that influenced you to get into using beat pads and not going from, like, a lot of people make their beats just right with a computer. They don't use any instruments at all.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing was like looking into my influences and how beats were made, and they were using the MPC, they were sampling. So like I said, I tried getting an MPC 1000, it didn't work out. And then the machine like magically dropped the same time that I started making beats. And I was like, this is a godsend. Like, it's digital, it's got the pads, like, it's perfect.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your learning process.
10,000 hours.
10,000 hours.
Literally, just like I would come home from work, and then I used to play like things like Call of Duty or that just for hours. Like, that was my stress relief. When I started making beats, it's like I came home, watched YouTube videos, and just like learn how to make beats.
Yeah, just tutorials and
just over and
trying
over.
Small things out and getting there, figuring them out, and then saying, okay, now I need to find the next step.
Exactly. I remember a story. Well, so I was living with a girlfriend at the time, and I was so into making beats. She said she literally was wearing lingerie and came out and was like, hey, Nate. I was like, not right now, I'm making a beat. She's like, Nate. I'm like, not right now, I'm making a beat. And she laughed, like, kind of like crying, and then told me later, and I was like, oh, shit.
That's so funny, dog.
It was probably a fire beat.
Yeah, it must have been definitely worth it. Yeah.
I feel bad.
Oh, man. No, I've been there and done that. So
I wish I knew which beat it was, because that would have been so dope.
Oh, that's too funny. Definitely.
I appreciate you talking to me. I mean, I know I'm out in Ontario. I still got love for BC. Vancouver's my home. I lived there longer than I lived anywhere, like in one city. So Vancouver's definitely home. I'll be back for the release party, and yeah.
That's what's up, brother. Well,
Shout out to BC Underground. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure to have you. We'll definitely have you back. We'll talk soon. Maybe
hopefully I can talk and like my throat's not like dying.
Yeah, when you're out for the release party, maybe I'll come out and we can do like an in-person thing, just a little get together.
That would be rad.
Yo, what up? This is My Name is Jump.
Hey, I'm Dylan Bell with Logue Files Media.
Yo, this is Lil Turtle.
This is La Sparka.
What's going on? It's your boy Hooper turned singer.
Yo, what's up? This is JML.
This is Natty Snaps. Yo, it's Kairos on the BC Underground Hip Hop Podcast.
BC Underground Hip Hop Podcast.
BC Underground Hip Hop.
Listen to BC Underground Hip Hop Podcast.
Love Force all day, motherfucker.
Turtle Gang.
Kairos season, baby.
Get it because you need it.
Watching this, y'all are my people, bro.
Wow.